A los 46 años estaba en la mejor forma física de mi vida, triatleta competitivo, corredor de medio maratón, corredor de montaña, cinturón negro en artes marciales, calcio coronario en cero. Era disciplinado, controlado, optimizado. Creía, en silencio pero profundamente, que era intocable. Entonces llegó una carta. El día antes de irme de vacaciones, casi no la abro. Algo dentro de mí dijo, ábrela. Dentro había un diagnóstico que partió mi vida en dos. Aneurisma torácico aórtico grande, atención urgente requerida. La mente hace cosas extrañas en esos momentos, busca un error. Y ahí es donde comienza el estoicismo. Decidí no aceptar comodidad en lugar de verdad, busqué expertos. Ella me miró y dijo, necesitas cirugía, ahora. Ese momento fue una bifurcación en el camino. Yo elegí la cirugía. Recibí un regalo extraño. Tiempo para llevar a mis padres a su viaje, tiempo para mirar a mis hijos con otros ojos. La cirugía, 7 horas, cardioplegía completa, crioterapia, detuvieron mi corazón, enfriaron mi cuerpo. Indujeron una muerte temporal, tuvieron dificultad para recalentarme, y luego llegó el momento, que nunca olvidaré, la extubación. Cuando retiraron el tubo respiratorio, sentí como si estuvieran extrayendo algo extraño de mi rostro y de mi alma. Sentí que algo ajeno estaba siendo removido, y en ese instante supe, nunca volvería a ser el mismo, no más débil, diferente, la muerte de la identidad. Cuando estás intubado en la UCI, ninguno de tus logros importa, no tus tiempos de carrera, no tu patrimonio. Le hablé al médico del triatlón, de la resistencia, y dije, ese capítulo está cerrado, no por derrota, por claridad. El estoicismo nos enseña, vas a morir. Cuando estás suspendido entre estar aquí y no estar aquí, la filosofía se vuelve estructural, la dicotomía del control. Hay cosas que controlas y cosas que no. No podía controlar el aneurisma o la genética, pero sí podía controlar cómo interpretaba el hecho de sobrevivir. Y la interpretación lo es todo. Amor fati, amar tu destino, no tolerarlo, no soportarlo, amarlo, y yo lo amo. No cambiaría esta experiencia por nada, porque reorganizó mi jerarquía de prioridades. Antes, ingresos, estatus, después, nada de eso sobrevivió. Vendimos la casa de nuestros sueños, vendimos los botes, el exceso, simplificamos, no por escasez, por claridad. Renacimiento. Llevamos a nuestra familia a Italia, caminamos por calles antiguas, comimos sin prisa, estuvimos presentes. Ese fue el cambio, de acumulación a experiencia, de ingreso a impacto. El estoicismo no me hizo indiferente, me hizo preciso. Memento Mori. Recuerda que vas a morir. No es sombrío, es liberador, dices no más rápido, amas con más intensidad. El obstáculo es el camino. El aneurisma no fue la interrupción, fue la redirección, de optimizar rendimiento a optimizar presencia. Cierre. Hay una carta en tu vida que aún no has abierto, una verdad que has postergado. El estoicismo no te pide que suprimas el miedo, te pide que enfrentes la realidad voluntariamente. Abre la carta, busque la verdad. Ama tu destino, no necesitas estar muerto por un día para vivir diferente. Gracias, suscríbete para más.
Before we begin, I want you to do something very simple for me. I want you to think of a letter you didn't open. It doesn't have to be a physical letter. It could be a difficult conversation, a lab test you're putting off addressing, a doctor's appointment you need to schedule, a challenging conversation with your loved one or your kids, a truth that you know you need to address, but you haven't addressed it yet. I want you to hold that in your mind, because this entire story is about a letter I almost didn't open.
At 46, I was in the best shape of my life. I was a competitive triathlete, a half marathoner, a trail runner, a black belt in martial arts. I had a 0 coronary calcium score. I was disciplined, controlled, optimized, and somewhere deep inside, I believed I was untouchable. Then a letter arrived. It came the day before vacation. I almost didn't open it. Something in me, call it intuition, call it providence, call it fate, told me to open it. Inside was a diagnosis that split my life in two. Large thoracic aortic aneurysm, emergent attention required. I remember staring at those words. The mind does strange things in moments like that. It searches for error, for exaggeration, for dismissal, and I got dismissal. Seasoned cardiologists told me it was nothing, but something didn't sit right. This is where Stoicism begins, long before the ICU. Stoicism is not about suppressing fear. It is about refusing to outsource responsibility. I chose not to accept comfort over truth. I sought experts. Minneapolis Heart, then Mayo Clinic. There I met an Irish cardiologist who had recently seen someone my age, with my genetics, with my condition. Her patient declined surgery. He dissected permanent disability. She looked at me and said, "You need surgery now." That was a fork in the road. There are moments in life where you choose between denial and courage. I chose surgery. The surgeon was fully booked, which meant I had a strange gift, time. Time to take my parents on their 50th anniversary trip, Time to look at my children with new eyes. Time to quietly understand that life had already changed. The surgery lasted 7 hours. They stopped my heart, they cooled my body, they induced what is functionally temporary death. There were complications. Difficulty warming me, seizure activity, unstable vitals, a tumultuous ICU course, and then came the moment I will never forget. Extubation. When they pulled the breathing tube out, it felt like an alien was being extracted from my face and from my soul. I felt something foreign leaving me, and in that moment I knew I would never be the same, not weaker, different, irreversibly altered. When you are intubated in the ICU, none of your credentials matter. Not your race times, not your black belt, not your net worth, not your professional title. You are a body on a bed with wires coming out of your chest. I remember speaking with the ICU physician fellow. I told him about triathlon, about martial arts, about endurance, and I said something that surprised even me. That chapter is closed, not from defeat, from clarity. This was my dead for a day story, and if I had been dead, even briefly, then the man who woke up did not have to resume the same life. Stoicism teaches us that you will die. Most people nod at that and move on. But when you feel it, the philosophy stops being theoretical. It becomes structural. There is what you control, and there is what you do not. I could not control the aneurysm, the genetics, the surgical complications, but I could control whether I opened the letter, whether I sought truth, how I interpreted survival. And interpretation is everything. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." I realized in that ICU bed that if I had been given a second chance, it was not to resume optimizing the wrong variables, amor fati, love of fate, not tolerate your fate, not endure your fate, love it, and I do. I would not trade this experience for anything because it reorganized my hierarchy of importance. Before surgery, success meant income, property, status, performance metrics, toys. After surgery, none of it survived scrutiny. When you have stared down death and come out the other side, the toys look absurd. So we said simply, enough. We sold the dream house, we sold the family property, we sold the boats, the toys, the excess, we moved into my grandfather's old house. We minimized, not from scarcity, from clarity. Material excess is intoxicating until you realize it does not negotiate with mortality. After recovery, we took our entire immediate family to Italy for 2 weeks, not as a vacation, as a celebration of rebirth. We walked ancient streets. We ate slowly, we spoke deeply, we experienced, we were present. That was the shift, from accumulation to experience, from income to impact. From status to stories, from toys to time, from busyness to being. Stoicism did not make me detached, it made me precise. Precise about what matters: family, friends, experiences, learning, exploring new cultures, new lands, new ideas, new books, new ways of thinking. Because once you understand that life is fragile, you stop postponing living. Memento Mori. Remember, you will die. It sounds morbid. It is not. It is liberating. When you know the clock is real, you say no faster. You forgive faster. You simplify faster. You love louder. And you fear less. Because once you have been clinically dead, public opinion loses power. Failure loses power. Judgment loses power. You become harder to intimidate, harder to distract, harder to derail. The aneurysm was not the interruption of my life. It was the redirection. The obstacle was not in the way. It was the way.
I'm 100% confident that there is a letter in your life that you have not opened, a risk that you haven't taken, a career that needs to change or end, a relationship that needs to be modified, a fear that you've been putting off. Open the letter. Seek the truth. I'm not asking you to suppress fear, but I want you to accept what you can control, master what you can, love your fate. Because you do not need to be dead for a day to live differently, but if you wait until you are, the decision may not be yours.